Hello and welcome to the Trade Ideas Market Recap for Tuesday, August the 20th. My name is Barry Anderson. I'm the moderator of the trading room. This is the address to get into the room, and you can log in as a guest, or you can use your Facebook or your Twitter account to log in. Well, before we start taking a look at the trades I took today, I actually took a few trades, even though, again, if I bring in my bounce play, only 5 for the entire day. And again, very light. And I guess you know what? Finally, it's August the 20th. We've got another couple of weeks left in August, and maybe in September we'll start getting some of the volume back. But only 5 plays today. Again, usually I get about 15 to 20 a day, so very, very light. But as usual, we always seem to find something to trade. So let me just back this out. And the first one I traded was this China HGS real estate. Now, the reason I did this, first of all, we saw this in the pre-market. It was doing quite well in the pre-market. Here's where it closed yesterday. Like, actually, it's an understatement, 347, and it was opening at 375. And so it was doing very well in the pre-market. So when I looked at this, and yesterday we had this stock, JRJC, Finance Online, and this is what it did yesterday. Here's yesterday's start, and it just roared all the way up from what's that, 478, all the way up to 782 on the close. But in the pre-market, actually the post-market yesterday, let's see, that is 961, and it actually hit a high today of 965. So obviously there's something going on with some of these Chinese stocks, China stocks. So I decided on this one, kind of breaking a lot of rules, that perhaps, when let me just see one thing here. I want to just make sure I have the daily here. Yeah. So when you take a look at the daily chart on this, you can see there was it went right when it went through 6. Here is some of the resistance up here. When it went through 6, I thought, okay, I'm going to get into this stock no matter what, because I'm just going to follow this, treat it like it's just going to be one of these Momo stocks, and ride it for a while. And now the problem is that even for a $6 stock, the spread, the difference between the bid and the ask was could be a dime, 15 cents at some point, which is absurd for a $6 stock. But I was able to get some at 605 when the spread kind of tightened a bit. And I was very quick to get rid of half at 635 and the other half at 612. And you can see later on it hit a high of 684. I did not participate, and now it is basically tanking. So it didn't do what JRJC did yesterday. JRJC basically kept going up and up and up and really had a strong finish and then a great post-market. I don't see this happening for this one. So that was the first trade. Now the next trade was TJX. Disappointing for me on this one. This is an earnings play. Obviously, here's where it closed yesterday, 54.05. Here's where the earnings were announced in the pre-market today. So obviously the earnings were good. And I was anticipating that this would be the type of stock that you kind of hold all day and ride it for a while. And because I had good earnings, the market was strong today. And generally speaking, when you get those two things hand in hand, good things can happen. Well, unfortunately, I took the first trade. I traded this twice, actually. I took the first trade right here at 58.12. I was waiting for it. You see how I had this pullback here down to 57.47, and then it started coming up, and so I waited for the break over 58. And so I took the trade at 58.12, and if I look at this candle here, it got up to 58.19 right there, but then the next candle it started dropping, and when it went through 58, I decided to exit. So I took a 20-cent loss on the first time I went in on it, and it went down to 57.79. I thought, well, maybe that's it, but it did come back, and so I decided to try it again at 58.07. And now this time it actually made it, I got it in on this candle and it made it up to 58.25, and I was really hoping, shouldn't hope in the market, I understand, but I was anticipating that it would have a nice gentle continuation, and it just didn't do it. And so when it started coming down again, I exited basically at my buy-in price, 58.07. I was out again. And it went down, back down through 58. I did not decided not to take a look at it again. But this is kind of what I was hoping it would do. I mean, we hit 59.50, so on my first buy of 58.12, that would have been that's a great return. But it just, the timing was just off for me on this one. It just wasn't ready here, and it wasn't ready here. I have to obey my stops. I have to listen to them because, this thing could have just as easily started to sink for the rest of the day as it went up. So yeah, it's a pain that it went up and I did not participate, but I just can't. You just can't. You can't disobey your trading plan. You start doing that, and it can really kill you. The next one was HSP, and this came now. It didn't come in on my. It wasn't showing up on my bounce play. I'm not quite sure why. Obviously, some of the filters weren't met, but nonetheless, somebody else pointed it out in the room. I think it was a Matt who pointed it out in the room, and so I actually took the trade right. So you can see what's happening. It came all the way down here. 53.86 was the low. It started to bounce, and when it came back up through 54, I was a little bit late because I actually wanted to take the trade right here at 54.03, 54.404, but I ended up taking it at 54.12. It wasn't really that big a deal because I exited half at 54.39 and the other half at 54.43. So thanks to Amat, I took that trade and made some money on it. And it really didn't do very much for the rest of the day. This was sort of the high point, so it's a good exit there. The next one was MNK. And MNK, another one. Now this came from Paul, and he had a winner just before that. So this is not exactly the type of bounce play I like because this is great. Here's where it's falling, and then you get the bounce, but then when you get this one, and then another bounce up. I don't generally take the stocks when they've already had a bounce. So it already had a bounce here, and it already had a bounce here. I don't generally take the stocks when that happened. But I decided that I would take it this time because he seemed to know he had pretty good success on the one previous, and I thought, okay, you know what, I'll put my stop right around the whole number, and so I took the trade right here at 70.22, and it got as high as 70.40, and then as it started moving down, I don't know, again, this influenced me. This, the first pop, the second pop, and I thought, you know what, this is not really part of the way I like to trade. So I was lucky. I got out at 70.38, and boy, I was very lucky because then the next candle just went all the way down, and this would have been a disaster to keep holding. And the last one is LCI. Now, admittedly, I did not actually put. Now, we were looking at this. I actually told the room about this, and if I was, first look at the daily on it, and I was saying that this little area down here, 35.95. Now, when I was watching this, it was coming down. This is a daily candle, of course, and it was coming down. So let's just take at the daily. Let's take a look at the daily chart and 35.95. So here is 35.95, and so I was waiting for this to see if it was going to hold, and it didn't. It went all the way down here, and I actually tried to short the stock when it broke down. Right, I think I tried to short the first one at 35.82. I went right in at the bid. It stayed there for a while. I was hoping to get a fill. I didn't get a fill and went down to 35.70. I put in another bid right at the bid to short it. I didn't get filled again, and then it just really collapsed all the way down to the whole number. So unfortunate that I didn't get it, but now it took the bounce. Now I did not post my buy at 36.10 originally. This was more. I don't want to say a revenge or a frustration buy because because I didn't get it here, and I thought, okay, it had this little bit of a pullback here, and then it popped up through the whole number, and I thought it looked strong enough. There's room up to say 36.91, so I took the trade at 36.10, and I exited it just before I started this video at right in this area here. So nice little trade, but again, I did not post it originally in the room, so. But a lot of us, I know a lot took the bounce from all the way here and rode it sky high. So that was it. So that again, that the volume. I mean, my barometer right now is my bounce plays, and until I start getting 15 to 20, I know that the market is just kind of slow, and you really have to pick your spots. So um, that is the way I gauge my market. For my personal plan. I mean, everybody has their own personal trading plan, of course, but this is definitely the one that I look at to see whether or not the market is going to give me probably what I want on any given day. So that is it. Just want to show you again the home page. Here's how you get in, and I hope to see you in the room tomorrow.